All right, guys, welcome back to part four of the No Bullshit Guide to Nutrition. Thank you for making it this far. If you've got this far, then it probably means that I've said something right, and you've got some value from it, which is awesome. Um, I love creating these things for people. I love helping people switch and change their mentality from this whole diet culture or this whole restriction. I'm a massive, massive believer in inclusion of foods and flexible dieting and making sure that we enjoy our life. We only get one life. I get that we got short-term goals and sometimes we have to suffer. But if we can suffer a little bit less and still get the same results, then why would we not? Um, Moving on to part four. All of you will be doing some form of training, or I'd say 95% of you will be doing some form of training, whether that's even if that's walking, if you have heavy duty jobs, or you're in the gym lifting weights, going to classes, or whatever it is. So I think it's really, really important to talk about it and show you exactly why you need to take into account your training and make sure that you're making the most of it as well. We've obviously seen what you need all your macronutrients and stuff for in the last few trainings. So it's all about putting it into play now. So it's all about making sure that when it comes to training and hydration and things like that, these are two areas that we can make massive impacts on our life, especially the hydration. But we need to fuel properly for it. So one of my favorite things with when I'm working with clients is watching their mindset shift from eating to be in a deficit or eating just for the sake of it or just eating for like enjoyment, although we should definitely eat enjoyment, to how can I eat or what should I eat to start leveling up my life, my training, how will this impact the rest of me, and the goals that I have. How can I reach these goals, and how is my nutrition going to help me get there? Because it is a massive part of our life, and it plays a massive important factor in everything else. So let's delve into it. Training and hydration. Let's go. So if you have any form of training goals, which every single one of you should or probably will have, then you need to be taking into account your nutrition. We spoke about how important carbohydrates are for your life, for your training. They are absolutely vital. I'm one of these people who is a massive believer that you should be fueling for your workouts. It is not only going to help your workouts, but it is going to help every other part of your life. If you have enough carbohydrates, if you are powering through workouts, if you are reaching goals and smashing your training, everything else in your life is going to get a little bit better. You are going to enjoy your training much more than when you are turning up, you are hungry, you've got no energy. For women, it's obviously a lot more important as well, like low energy deficiency and stuff like that. So you need to make sure you're fueling your body correctly, which is really hard to do if you're in a massive deficit or if you've been in a deficit for too long. So it's really important that you obviously take some breaks from that as well. Here's just a quick guide. You can take a picture of the screen. I'll send it over to you. Screenshot it, download it, whatever you want to do. Try and stick to this guide. For most of us, mere mortals, we will be around the light to moderate training. So we'll need to stick to maybe 4 grams maximum, probably 2 to 3 grams of carbohydrates. For most of us, as I said before, if you stick around that 3 grams, you're going to be pretty good. That is going to be enough to power you through. If you are not sure if you're getting enough carbohydrates in, then start to think about your timings of when you're getting your carbohydrates in. So if you are training in the morning, or if you're training in the afternoon or something, a long time after you've eaten, then just having a quick releasing carbohydrate 45 minutes to an hour before you train is going to make a massive difference in your training. I can't stress this enough. If you want your training sessions to go well, fuel for it. Watch how much you enjoy your training. Watch how much better it gets. You'll get better results. The lifestyle will change a lot more. You'll start to go in wanting to work out. Once you start to hit those performance goals, once you start to see a difference in your training, just from eating a little bit more or just from eating the right foods at the right time, it is going to be much more enjoyable for you, and you're going to make it stick. You're not going to just go in there hating your life every single time, thinking, oh, fuck, I've got to go and do this again. Which leads me on to the next point, which is find something you enjoy doing. I'm not going to go into a big rant about it, but if you're just going in to go on the stepper, or if you're going to walk for an hour, or you're going to do strength training because someone told you it's good for you, strength training is very good for you, but you hate it, you're not going to stick to it. So make sure you find something that you enjoy. Same with the food. I've said it a few times, I'm a massive believer in inclusion, not exclusion. So find the foods that you enjoy. If you can't enjoy something and you have to have it, find something that you can endure, and something that you can see yourself getting progress at quickly, and then you can start to build from there. With protein, again, really, really important for your training. If you're on weight loss, then I would stick around at 1.5 to start with and build yourself up. If you've got performance goals, then you need to be sticking around 1.8 to 2.2. You don't really need to be going higher than that unless you're an absolute animal and you're doing 7-8 hours training a day. And again, unless you're training multiple times a day, that 2.2 is still pretty high. So that 1.8, there's not too much difference in studies and stuff to show that you need to be hitting that 2.2 to elicit huge changes. So it's not going to make a massive difference for you. So we move on to our hydration. Again, this is by far one of the areas that you can change quickly. I hear it all the time, and I'd say 70 to 80% of people I get on calls or I speak to have an issue with getting enough water in, or even knowing how much water to get. The easiest way and the most simple way, and remember, I'm not here to bullshit you, look at your piss. Look at what your urine looks like. If you are up towards that of 4 and 5, you need to start drinking water straight away. It's a little bit too late by then. You shouldn't be getting to that point. I could go into a whole scientific spiel about how 1% dehydration will have a massive cognitive decline. You'll be thinking a little bit slower. You'll make decisions slower. 2%, it gets even worse. I think it's if you're 2 or 3% dehydrated, you can see a 30% decline in athletic performance. So these are very, very minor details, and it's such an easy area for you to improve. Hydration comes from water. You can get it basically anything that you drink. Obviously, if you want to get water, or herbal teas and things like that are the best sources. But even foods that are high in water as well. We take water out of food, so it does count. A really, really simple way to know how much water you should be drinking per day is 35 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. Literally just times your body weight in kilos by 0.35, and that is going to give you a baseline. If you are on the heavier side and it tells you to bring up 6 litres of water, I had that with someone recently. The likelihood is you are going to struggle to get 6 litres of water in unless you're walking around with one of those big gallon tanks. Then you want to start with that sort of 3 litres. But again, go off of the hydration chart. Just look at your urine. If it's getting darker, make sure you just start to drink water. I drink probably too much water. I'm always towards that kind of 0 and 1. I probably go to the toilet about 20 times a day. I would probably be much more effective. I'll probably get a little more done if I was a little bit less dehydrated or less hydrated. But it is what it is. I love drinking water. So that's a good habit for me. But a really, really simple way. Just make sure you've got a bottle of water with you all times. Every single meal you have a glass of water before, especially if you're trying to lose weight. Have a glass of water before. It's going to help with the hunger as well. But again, just plan for it like everything else. Big bottle of water, have a couple of glasses. Have a glass as soon as you wake up in the morning, and you'll be well on the way to hitting that good level. So just to finish up, a few frequently asked questions that I get out a lot when people start my programs, when I talk to people on Instagram and things like that, and just generally when I do nutrition seminars or talks. These are the sorts of questions that come up the most. Do you need to take supplements? Absolutely not. They are there to supplement your food and your lifestyle. There are some that I recommend to most people, but again, if you're not sure whether you should take these, please consult your doctor first. Creatine and whey protein is pretty much the only ones. And vitamin D, obviously, between September and March. Again, government guidelines on that says everyone should be taking it. If you're in the UK, if you're watching this outside the UK, it might be a little bit different. Creatine, one of the cheapest supplements, one of the most highly researched supplements, and a lot of gains can come from it. Loads and loads of benefits for it. Again, I'm not going to take you into exactly why, but it's something that I take daily. I have whey protein in my oats in the morning to start my day off right, and I take vitamin D when I need to throughout that period as well. I see a big difference in my energy levels when I'm taking vitamin D compared to when I'm not. But again, if you're unsure whether you can take them or if you have any conditions, please do not take my word for gospel and go and speak to your nutritionist, dietitian, or your GP. Should you cut out fizzy drinks and sweets to an extent? Yes. You don't want to be that doesn't want to be the bulk of your diet. Should you cut them out completely? Absolutely not. Not if it's something that you enjoy. If we lived in a perfect world, of course, we would not have any of those things, but we do not. And they're things that we enjoy. So make sure you include them. Fizzy drinks, diet drinks are really, really good, especially if you're in a calorie deficit. I'm personally a bit of a Diet Coke fiend. I will probably have at least one. Well, have one Diet Coke. I'd say at least 5 days out of 7. We've always got them in the fridge. They really help me when I am on a cut or anything like that because they help fill me up when I'm eating meals and I can't eat as much. I love the taste of it. But again, it's about finding ways to include everything. So definitely don't cut everything out. Why does your weight fluctuate so much? There are hundreds and hundreds of reasons why your weight might fluctuate. For women, it's even worse, unfortunately. You have loads and loads of stuff going on depending on what time of the month it is. It could be down to if you've had a little bit more salt in your food, if you've had more carbohydrates because if you hold on to water. If you see a big fluctuation overnight, think rationally. It is impossible to put that much weight on overnight. It is water weight for most of the time. You're going to go up and down weight. It is part of the natural curve. Just know, look at your weight, especially if you're weighing daily. Look at the common curve. If it keeps creeping up for a couple of weeks, then you know you're starting to put weight on. If you get a big fluctuation and it starts to come back down again, the likelihood is that you just had a little bit too much carbohydrate or salt or something in your diet. What diet works best? Whichever one works for you. I'm not going to be here. I won't tell you to not do any of these plans or not do anything. Whatever you can stick at, that you can get all your nutrients in, that you can keep your energy levels, and that you enjoy, that is going to be the one that works best for you. Okay, don't overcomplicate things. Especially people on my programs and stuff like that. I don't give out meal plans. I'll give example days of what it might look like to hit calories and macros and things like that. Most PTs and stuff definitely shouldn't be given meal plans because everyone's nutrition is personal to them. So follow those guides that I gave you earlier on in the program. Simplify it. Work out what works for you. Experiment with different things. Remember, you've got your whole life to work it out. I know we want to get results really quickly, but if we can spend a little bit more time and work out exactly what works for us, you're going to have a much more fun and you're going to be able to stick to it a lot better. How do I work with you and take control of my nutrition forever? Shameless plug. I said I'm not going to sell you and I won't sell you. If you do want to know more about nutrition, and I do full coaching programs. I don't really do just nutrition programs because it comes as a whole. If you do want to know more, just send me a message. We look a lot more deeper into every single thing that's on there, but that's for a different discussion, and I'll tell you all about that on there. But hopefully you've got enough value out of this to get you started and start taking the guesswork out of your nutrition. Stop just guessing exactly what you should have and trying to avoid foods just because some other goat has told you that you should be avoiding foods. I want to say a massive thank you for getting to the end of this. I appreciate that I do talk on a little bit. I absolutely love nutrition. I love talking about it. I love helping people understand it. I love making people understand that we can include everything in our diet within reason. And let's not make ourselves miserable by cutting everything out. There are times and places for when you need exact nutrition. As the most part, stick to a mostly healthy diet. Stick to mostly good foods, and you'll be all right. If you have any more questions, if you do want to speak to me about working together, or find out a little bit more, if you don't agree with something I said in here, absolutely no problem at all. Message me. I would love to have a discussion with every single person that watches this. I will potentially create some more trainings that delve a little bit deeper into it, but I hope you can go away from this training just a little bit more clued up than when you came on, and it's taken some of that guesswork out. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I will speak to you soon.